Hey everyone, I'm JR, and this is one of Mike's mini history lessons. Going into politics can be risky. Do well, and you'll be remembered forever, probably honored in your country's history, and maybe even show up on some money. Do poorly, and the people can turn on you in an instant, and you're completely at their mercy. For the Dutch Prime Minister in 1672, the latter is an understatement to say the least. But what happened, and why? In the middle of the 17th century, the Dutch Republic was rich. Very rich. And even though they had a royal family, the country was run democratically. The Dutch had established trade routes with Asian countries, and their spice trade was something that the other European powers, such as France, England, and the Holy Roman Empire, all wanted. As a result, the Dutch were surrounded by enemies. The 1600s was a time of turmoil filled with wars between European powers, and many in the Netherlands wanted a strong, centralized leader for protection and to have their royal family to run things. The leader of the royal family at this time was a young William of Orange. Side note, the House of Orange is the reason why the Netherlands wear orange in the Olympics, the World Cup, etc. But before he was able to take power, there was a small matter of the current Prime Minister, Johan de Witt. Now, this democracy was basically an elected monarchy, with the leaders being called the Princes of Orange. As tensions arose within the young country, two political factions formed: the Statists, who wanted to lose confederacy of all the regions, and the Orangists, who wanted to return the strong centralized monarchy. Now, de Witt knew that the Netherlands' strength was its wealth, which came from its naval trade, so he prioritized building a strong navy to protect its ships. This worked well at first, and the navy even scored some victories against the English navy. With some victories under his belt, de Witt passed a new law basically preventing the Orange faction, aka the monarchy, from rising to power to take over the country. This upset his political rivals, but there was pretty much nothing they could do about it. But a very small country with a massive wealth, based almost entirely on trade, didn't sit well with the other European monarchs, and eventually, King Louis of France decided that the Dutch Republic has gone on long enough, and he invaded the Netherlands. The Orangists used this crisis to realize power and force de Witt to resign. But that wasn't enough. Now back in power, the royals kidnapped the former prime minister's brother as a way to lure him out of hiding. This plan succeeded, and when de Witt went to visit his brother in the prison where he was being held, he was shot and killed by his political rivals, who decided right then and there to eat him. Why this happened is not entirely clear, but it was recorded by many sources. In fact, the king's first act after regaining power was the pardon of those who murdered and ate the former prime minister. Politics is hard, and messing up can lead to dire consequences. I'd say ask de Witt, but that was 350 years ago. But if you can manage to seize power, you can always change the constitution of the country to make a monarchy with an outright king. Where have I heard talks of that lately? Anyway, today the Netherlands is still referred to as the Kingdom of the Netherlands, and if you look at its country sports jerseys, they have an orange crown honoring the legacy. And that continues on to this day, and is still one of Europe's last reigning monarchs, although today, like England, it's very much a figurehead position. And so ends the tale of how the Dutch monarchy started, when the people didn't like the prime minister to the point where they killed him and ate him in front of his family. Or at least that's the lesson you would get if Mike was your history teacher.